So what we have here is the actual web page with the full theme that WordPress installs during the installation. But now let's take a look at the backend. And to do this, you're going to have to click on the navigation bar /wp/admin. Go ahead and log in with the admin credentials that you created during the installation. And the first thing you're going to see is the dashboard. It has a couple of different options here to be able to create quick drafts, site health, how many pages you have, and a few other things. But on your left side, that's where you're going to have your main menu. And let's go through each option and see which ones are the most important ones. The first thing that you will notice on top is a small navigation bar, and a couple options that you have is you can preview your site by just moving your mouse over the site name. And usually what I do is right click on it and open the link in a new tab, so then I can actually see what I'm working with. You also have notification about the updates that need to be installed and any messages. And in this case, we do have a plugin to do a cache function, which technically what it is it makes a copy of your website, like a static copy, and it speeds up the time it takes to load the web pages. And we'll look at that plugin in a few seconds. So now let me go back here, click on updates. It looks like I have two updates. You can even reinstall WordPress from this location here. And to update one of these plugins, you can always just select it and go ahead and click on update. Sometimes it takes a little while, but you'll see this page here and it will tell you if the update was successful or not. Now let's move on to the post section. The post section, it shows all the articles that you can add if you implement a blog to your website. So you can create as many pages as you need. Now these pages, they are divided into different categories depending how you set up your blog, and each one will even have comments from people that visit the site. If I click on one of the articles, this is just kind of like a quick preview of the backend editor that WordPress comes with as a default. And here you can see other options that you can select, such as a visibility, when to publish it, the different categories you might assign to it, if you use tags, or if you use a specific template. Under media, that's where you can store all your images, videos, documents. And what happens is anytime you upload something here, it will provide you with an address or where to link it within your website. You can always go ahead and click on Add New. You can drag and drop files or you can select them. Now you just have to navigate to where your image is and you just have to select it. And then the file is going to start uploading. There is a maximum upload file size, but if you click on it, you can add alternative text. You can add a title, captions for videos. It's important to add descriptions as well. And here's a link to where the image is. So now let's go back. Here you can also do a bulk select. So if you have multiple images, you can select them and you can go ahead and delete them. Now let's go to the Pages menu. The Pages menu, this is where you're actually gonna start the main navigation pages on your website. So right now we have already a privacy policy and a sample page. The sample page is what you saw earlier when I launched the website. So I can go ahead and add new. And I'm just gonna name it homepage. And I'm gonna go ahead and publish it. If you add another editor such as Elementor or Breezy, then you'll have the option to edit with that specific editor. But right now we're limited to the one that comes with WordPress. The next important thing that we have to look into is the appearance menu. Under appearance, you're going to find your themes, widgets, and menus. and also the theme editor. These are the default themes that come with the WordPress installation. If you want to go ahead and delete a theme, you can always click on it and press delete. If you would like to add one, you can always go up here and you can search for a theme. I usually like to use Astra or Neve, so I'm gonna go ahead and search for that one. Here's Astra. Actually, we'll use Neve as well. Now here, once the installation finishes, you'll notice that it gives you the option to activate the theme, and you also do have a live preview. If you activate the theme, that's what makes it become the default theme through the website. So in this case, I can activate it here, and I can go back to this is my themes page. And as you can see, this is the other one that I selected, Astra. So I can go ahead and activate this one instead. So it's easy to switch from one theme to the other, but it's always a good idea to go ahead and get rid of the ones that you're not using. Another important thing to look into is the customize option. If you go ahead and click on customize, you'll see different settings for the theme itself that sometimes you might need to work with, such as the headers, the blog page, maybe a footer, sometimes the menus, or if you need to add additional CSS, you can also look into this menu options here. Now the other important thing is if you're building a blog, you're probably going to use the widgets section. All these settings here actually show on the blog page, such as the recent posts, recent comments, and you can customize it. You can add a calendar, you can add a search bar, different meta information, a gallery. It's up to you, but this primarily works with the blog page. Okay, now let's take a look at the menus options. Here you can create your own menus, and this is going to come in handy with any editor. It will create the structure itself, so you can just quickly add it on the back end when you're building the site. What I usually do is on the main menu, I put a description such as main navigation menu or footer menu. So it helps me identify where these menus are located on the page, and I can always go here, view all, and select the pages that I want. So in this case, I'm just going to select the sample page and the home page, add it to the menu, and that will pretty much create it. If you need to add a custom link or a link to an external site, you can use the custom link option and put the website URL there and also the description. For example, let's see www.google.com, Google, and it will add it to the menu. Now you can go ahead and save, and that's it. You have a footer menu. You can create as many of these menus as you need. You can just go up here, and that will create another one. And always make sure to save. Different themes will have their own options too. So if I click on the Astra options, you can see that we have options to upload logos, colors, the layout options. Since we're using another editor in combination with the theme, we don't have to worry about this section for now. Another important thing, but something that you won't really use that much, is the theme editor. And under the theme editor options, you can actually break things, so you got to be careful with what you're changing, or at least know what you're changing. So once in a while you might have to edit the functions.php file to fix something or to change something, or sometimes you will go here and select the plugin that you need to edit. Just be careful with what you do here, as if you break the theme, then you might not be able to get back on your website. Now let's take a look at the plugins. Here is a list of all the plugins installed. And here you can manage them through activating them, deactivating it, or actually deleting it. So let me go ahead and activate this one here. As simple as that. The plugin has been activated and is highlighted. In order to delete it, you have to deactivate it first, and then you can delete it. Now, all the themes do have a description and the version number, which helps a lot, as well as you can see details directly there. So if I click on it, it will show a description, usually the installation, how you install it, how you uninstall it, frequently asked questions, sometimes it's screenshots, and this is a way to see the rating and reviews of the plugin that you're using. Now, if you want to go ahead and add a new plugin, you're gonna go to the top, add new, and let's look for a plugin here. So WP All-in-One. This is a tool to back up your website. And here it is. And you can see how many active installations there are, compatibility with your WordPress site, and how long ago the plugin was updated. So if you see a plugin that's being updated years ago, that's probably not a good idea to use, as the developer might have stopped support on the plugin. But in this case, it was updated 5 days ago. Also, sometimes if there's like a new version of WordPress, you might see something that says that it's not compatible yet. Most of the time it works. I haven't had any issues with it, but just be careful, or go to the developer site and read about it, find out and see when they're releasing a new version or if you can use the current one. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on install. Depending on the plugin, some take a little longer than others, but this one is already done. So I'm gonna go ahead and activate it from here. Or you can go back to the plugins main page and activate it there. Now, depending on the plugin, some of them will add a sort of menu on this side. In this case, this one did it here. Sometimes other ones will be under appearance. So depending on the plugin, you have to look and see how each one works. Now let's take a quick look here at the all-in-one WP migration. And this is pretty much what this plugin did. It just added an extra menu. Here you can export your website to a file or to different services, and you can also import it. Okay, so now let's go back to users. Under the users section, this is where you can add other admins or add other editors depending on what access you want to give each person. So if I go ahead and click on new, it will require a username, an email, first name, last name. You don't have to put a website, and you can always create a password. And under here, you're going to select the role. There are some plugins that make this easier. Here you will have to just look online and see what the difference is between those. But there are some plugins that actually make it easier to manage all these roles, and you can be really specific as to what sections of the website they have access to. So that'll be something to look into as well. Now the next section is tool sections. I don't really use this as much. It does give you some import export options. It does show you site health. That way you can improve the security, performance, or just make sure everything is running okay. As far as the import and export tools, I like to use this tool instead because it backs up your database and also your entire website in just one file. Now let me go back here to settings, and this is important. Under settings, you have the site title, you have a tagline, and you have the WordPress address and site address. So if you change to a different address, you're gonna have to update this information here. You can also select the language, the time zone. Make sure you update this, and usually I don't have to mess around with the data format or the time format. Under reading, sometimes you have to select a specific page to be your home page, and this is where you can do it. You will click on this option here under your homepage displays, and you can select, for example, homepage, the page that I created. Another important thing here, the search engine visibility. It does discourage search engines from indexing this site, meaning they will not look into adding this to Google if this is selected. Make sure when you're developing the site, you keep this selected, but once the site goes live, you can go ahead and unselect it. The other option here is the permalinks option. Usually, what I do here is I go ahead and select it as post name. Now here's another plugin, the WP Supercache that came installed with WordPress. Sometimes the host will install their own plugins for you as default plugins. If you see something like the WP Supercache, especially when you're developing sites, make sure you turn off the caching function, as it will make kind of like a static copy of your page. And if you're constantly making changes, you won't see those changes happen right away unless you clear the cache or you make sure this option is turned off. Once the site goes live, go ahead and turn it on, as it will help with the speed of the website. And one last thing that I want to show you is when we go to plugins, and if we try to add a new plugin, here I'm going to search for an editor, which makes life much easier when developing websites. So for example, we have Breezy Page Builder, that's the one that I use. You can go ahead and install the free version and just play around with what options Breezy has. So if I go back to pages, now that it's active, when I click on the page, the first time you have to do this couple steps, and you will see the option to edit with Breezy. Afterwards, you can just select it from the previous menu. And here you go. Now you can start building a web page. Once you install it, go ahead and explore the different options. Get familiar with the editor that you're using. Each one is different. Like I said, each one offers different functions, and you can easily start building things with any of them. I believe the layouts are locked for the pro version. Actually, here are some free ones. So you can start with a free layout, and you can go ahead and import it. And technically there is your website that you can just edit. Or you can add just blocks. If I need, for example, like a cover image, such as this one, just click on it and it will come in here. And from there you can organize how your blocks are set up, and you can edit the images and do a few more things. If you click here, it will give you a menu option, as well as if you click on the actual box itself here on this arrow. So you have color, text. You can easily just replace text. So there you go. Feel free to explore. Make sure you always update. Here you have an undo button and redo button just in case, and this is your live preview. So make sure you update it. Now to go back to your dashboard, you're gonna go ahead and click on this option here. Go to dashboard. And that's pretty much it. So this was a quick tutorial on WordPress. Feel free to look at the different menus, different options, play around with it, get familiar with it. The more you do, the more you get to know WordPress, and the easier it gets to navigate around and create web pages.